All right, Ronan MMA, welcome back to the channel. UFC 286 Media Day took place yesterday. I'm going to give my thoughts and reactions on some of the things that the fighters said. Mostly, I'm going to be focusing on the main event and the co-main event fighters. And I would greatly appreciate it if you would like and subscribe. I'll thank you in advance and apologize, but please do, because I did have to listen to KAMARU USMAN talk for 34 minutes straight, and it was not enjoyable. So I would greatly appreciate a subscription. I would love it if we could get to 200 today. We're at 197 right now. So I think it is possible if enough people see this video, and I would greatly appreciate it. Let's just get right into it. Okay. I'll start off with KAMARU USMAN. Let's get this guy out of the way. He's going to be the biggest portion of this video because he spoke more than any person that was interviewed, even the champion. His interview was about 34 minutes long, as I said, and even the champs was only about 20. So let's get into it. Now, first thing I noticed, who am I to criticize? Obviously, KAMARU USMAN's fight knowledge, okay, in the striking department is what I'm going to be speaking about. But he seems to be slightly delusional or ignorant as to how the head kick actually happened. Like, he keeps saying this one quote, and I don't know if it's just him trying to sound cool or what, but he keeps saying, you know, if I just kept my damn hands up. And it's like, no, well, no, KAMARU, that's not really what it was. You have a tendency, which Leon Edwards exposed, you tend to dip your head way down to your right side when somebody flashes you a punch, and that's exactly what happened. Like, if his hands were up, the kick would have landed either way. He dipped his head extremely low. And I mean, even with two hands there, when you're going into a kick, it's still going to have a massive impact. Now, perhaps he would have just been knocked down as opposed to knocked out, but I don't think so. That head kick was perfect. It wrapped around and everything. And he kept saying that, if I just kept my damn hands up. Whoops, knocked my mic there. It was just annoying to me. Like, there's no way that Trevor Whitman doesn't know that that was what caused the head kick, not that he didn't have his hands up. I mean, you know what I mean? I don't know. It was just weird. It's weird that he keeps saying it. I think it might just him be trying to sound cool. He's like in his LL Cool J personality, which we've seen before, right? Tyron Woodley called him out for it, which is like eerily accurate. I mean, it is. The way that he talks is quite annoying. Okay, and I'm not trying to be a hater, dude. He's a great fighter, but it's just fucking goddamn. Okay, then oh, dude, the bitch ass reporter. There's one every fucking time. Race baiting is what he's doing. Okay, asking him about what Dricus du Plessis said. Now, I understand where they're coming from, but I also understand what Dricus said because I'm not a fucking cuck who is trying to race bait people, okay? I may not have a degree in sociology from the University of Oregon like the great Chael Sonnen does, but I do know the difference between ethnicity and race, okay? And being African is not a fucking race, it's an ethnicity. Dricus du Plessis was born and raised in Africa, despite what may have happened 300 years ago. He is born and raised there, okay? And he has nothing to do with any colonizers or anything like that. And no one alive today has anything to do with any colonizers or anything like that. So get fucked and stop trying to race bait. It's annoying and you sound like a cuck. But I understand that dude, people are totally like skewing what Dricus du Plessis meant there. Leon Edwards, when these guys had their second fight, said something about Michael Bisping. He goes, you know, all respect to Michael Bisping. I understand that he was the first champ from the UK, but there's a but. He moved to the US to get it done. He moved to the US to train and get his coaching there. So while he was born and raised in the UK, he would have been fighting out of like Las Vegas or California or wherever it was that he went to, right? So and by the way, nobody batted a fucking eye when Leon said that, because what Leon Edwards meant was, yeah, he's the first UK champ, but I'm going to do it from the UK. So there's no fighting out of, right? By way of, when they say that, like fighting out of, San Diego, California by way of Manchester, UK. Leon Edwards wants to be like fighting out of Birmingham, England, period, because that's where he's from and that's where his coaching is and all that shit. That's what Drickus means, right? Like Usman and Izzy, born in Nigeria, didn't spend an awful lot of time there, right? They have spent the vast majority of their time, of their life, in their new countries. Right, Usman's an American immigrant. I think he's been there since childhood. He wrestled and like people know him from college and high school and shit like that. I think he was like 8 years old or something. So most of his childhood, literally, he was raised in the United States of America. This is what Dricus du Plessis meant, in my opinion, anyways. I want to be the real African champion who, born and raised and trained out of Africa, not born in Africa, left to go to the US because there's better coaching there. Like, they train and get coached out of Africa. That's what he means, dude. It's nothing to do with fucking race. It's so goddamn annoying. I can't stand it. And Usman tried to kind of get out of it by saying, what did he say? I don't like participating in that cancel culture shit, but I would tell him that he should be more careful with his words. What he said is objectively true. None of you fucks did your training camps in Africa with an African team. He did, okay? Nothing to do with race. Point blank, period. So fucking enough of that. Enough of that. And that goddamn reporter is such a little bitch. He said, it was quite jarring what he said. That's a quote, dude, directly. Shut up, okay? Next point. He keeps saying, I'm going in there to be violent. I'm going in there to be violent. There were 3 fights that I felt violent in. And very coincidentally, are his 3 nastiest finishes, which is so fucking funny, dude. It's like, you're a professional fighter with a record of 20-3, and you only ever felt violent 3 times in your career. And conveniently and coincidentally, they're when you finished some guys. Like, I can't remember the first dude that he said, but it was the first time we saw him really like KO a dude. God, I can't remember his name now. It's bugging me. But then the first Colby Covington fight, and when I fought Jorge Masvidal in Jacksonville, Florida, those are the times that I felt violent. Okay, dude. So you only feel violent like fucking 1/8 out of your career, and it just so happens to be the time that you actually like fuck dudes up. You should be violent every single time you go in there. You're a professional fighter, okay? And that's another thing. He keeps saying that Leon Edwards showed him nothing that would make him think that he's the better mixed martial artist. I would argue, in my opinion anyways, by, my eye, like, Leon Edwards is way better of a martial artist than KAMARU Usman will ever be. KAMARU Usman is dominant in one area. It's a very important area, which allows him to dictate the pace, place, and position of the fight most of the time. And it's wrestling, obviously. He is not a better striker. I would argue he's not even a better grappler. He is a better wrestler. Leon Edwards, if I'm not mistaken, has more submissions on his record than KAMARU Usman does. KAMARU Usman has 1 submission on his record, and it was 8 years ago, I think. It was in the Tough, when he was on Tough. I think it was the finale. He arm triangled a dude. But he doesn't get subs. Like, he's not a fantastic grappler. Imagine if KAMARU Usman could get submissions. He would be like fucking unstoppable, because he is very capable of dictating the pace, place, and position. So if he could get you down to the ground as often as he gets his opponents down, and then had submission threats, it would open up his ground and pound, and he would be able to get finishes on the ground, like but he just doesn't. So Leon Edwards, like, jiu-jitsu's better, his submission grappling is better, his striking is better. You're more dominant. You're also massive for the weight class, and you may or may not be on EPO, because I'll tell you another thing, dude. The way that beanie is sitting on his fucking head makes it look like his head shape has changed once more. It's getting quite strange. The top of his head it's crazy, dude. I know I've got a big forehead. His is like different kind, though. Not like lengthwise. His is like fucking, it's crazy, dude. He looks like Joanna does after the Zhang Weili fight. He hasn't been in a fight yet. So, strange. Okay. Usman says more goddamn words than anybody I think I've ever. He does this thing. There's a lot of political content creators on YouTube and Twitch who typically are like socialists or, you know, far left leaning people. And I'm not even going to name names because I don't want to out myself and to show people what I watch. I am not in agreement. I don't agree with their politics, but they will say so many words to sound smart, and they will literally say nothing. And that's what KAMARU Usman does, and that's why his interview's 34 fucking minutes long. He ain't saying anything. He's just spewing out words, and he will literally contradict himself in a sentence, like, or in the following sentence. He'll say one thing, and then he'll contradict himself in the next sentence, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? What did you just say? Did you forget, dude? Or did you just switch your personality in that time, and that personality doesn't remember what that personality said? It's very, very odd. Okay. Next part. Leon Edwards, man. He did not give me much to talk about, if I'm being brutally honest. There was a few funny moments where he like almost spat out his water. Or he did spit out his water, I guess. The guy asked him if he thought Usman was still going to dress like Terry Crews. That was pretty funny. And Leon was taking a sip of water and he spat it out. There was something I noticed in that exchange too. Leon Edwards could be a fucking goddamn ventriloquist, dude. You got to go back and watch that part. He says something with his teeth like this completely. His mouth don't move, no nothing. He sounds the exact same too with his mouth closed. It's fucking hilarious. There were times where I was like, I could have used subtitles there. But that's okay. Usman kept saying, like, he's forgetting about the first 24 minutes of that fight. You forgetting about the first 5? Okay? Let's just hypothetically, had that head kick not knocked Usman out, but knocked him down. Like, let's say he kept his hands up. So he says. And it just knocked him down. That fight, had it gone to a decision, would have been 48-47, 3 rounds to 2. It would not have been the dominant performance that he is making it out to be. And I understand that he looked dominant in those middle rounds, but if Leon dominantly won the first and then ended up knocking you down with a head kick in that 5th round, which would have given him that 5th round based on damage, KAMARU Usman did no damage really in that 5th round up until that point. It would have been 48-47. Like, it's not like you fucking just ran through him for 5 rounds and then in 1 minute he, you know what I mean? It's weird, but yeah, Leon seems super confident, and they asked him about that, and he didn't seem bothered by it even a little bit. He was just like, yeah, okay. He laughed at that too. He seems very confident, man. I don't know what else to say. He literally gave me nothing. He was just kind of like having fun. He opened up a restaurant for his mom. It was like the first thing he did with his money, I guess, which is pretty cool, man. I like that. And dude, he seems like a nice guy. Like, his personality is showing through a little bit more. I remember back at the press conference for Till versus Masvidal, I didn't really like him that much. I don't know what it was, but maybe he just seemed like a bit of a dick. Now that he's opening up a little bit more, though, it's cool to see. He seems like a pretty cool dude, you know, and he's doing a charity and shit like that for kids that came from similar backgrounds to him, which I appreciate as well. I like when guys do things like that. That's why, dude, I wish I could like KAMARU Usman, because he's like a good family guy. Like, he takes care of his daughter. He's always with his daughter, it seems. I don't know what the situation is with him and the daughter's mother, but he seems like a guy who is consistently in his daughter's life, and it's like a important thing to him. And I wish I could like him, but I don't, because he's annoying as shit, dude. And he's probably on EPO because his head looks like fucking Megamind. But Leon seems like a cool dude. I like Leon. I like him. Alright. RAFAEL FIZIEV. This was a pretty interesting interview. Even though he's ESL. Which, by the way, dude, I think it's hilarious when the ESL guys enunciate the EDs at the end of words. Like blessed and shit like that. That shit makes me laugh every time. It's funny. And I'm not, like, making fun of them. It's just funny. Like, in a cute way funny. But Valentina does it, too. Well, they'll enunciate the EDs. Anyways. One quote from him. I'm going to take his heart. I hope that means he's going for body shots. Okay? I want body kicks, my guy. But either way, it's savage. He's ready. I don't understand the thought that he's not humble, even a little bit. I don't understand it. When they asked him about the title picture, a lot of guys in his position, if he was this overconfident asshole as Justin Gaethje thinks he is, he would have lobbied for himself, like, pretty hard. He would have been like, there's nobody else. I'm the best in the division, all this shit, right? He literally said that if Dariush beats Charles Oliveira, Dariush deserves that title shot before me. He has earned it more than anybody in this division. I love that, dude. I love that. Because, look, if he goes out there and, like, totally fucking wrecks Justin Gaethje, that is absolutely title shot worthy. Like, maybe not to hardcore fans, but based on the rankings and shit like that, and all the hype that he would get from that, it would absolutely be possible that they could throw him in a title shot. But I love that he says that Dariush deserves it more than anybody, because he fucking does, man. And he keeps getting overlooked. But he's just confident in his abilities, dude. And he has every fucking right to be. He is amazing at striking, and he has had brilliant performances. And, I keep seeing this. I don't even, like, have Twitter. I just, like, go on and look. See if I can find shit. Somebody had posted a clip from FIZIEV fighting Bobby Green and said, oh, this is the guy that's going to beat Justin Gaethje. And I thought, fuck me. Like, how? That is the worst MMA math I've ever seen in my life. Because Bobby Green's not ranked or something, and FIZIEV had a tough fight with him, you think that it's... Bobby Green is a very, very awkward guy to deal with. He strikes very weird. His punches come from every fucking which way you could possibly think of, but they're, like, almost all straight. All different angles. His hands are always down at his waist. Like, it is not a typical guy to deal with. And, yeah, it was a tough fight for FIZIEV. But again, like, he's super unorthodox and weird to deal with. And a lot of guys have a hard time with Bobby Green. Bobby Green's no slouch. And Justin Gaethje is way more traditional, I guess you could say, with his boxing stance and things like that. Like, Bobby Green's got hands. Bobby Green is a very good boxer, but he's not a traditional boxer. Like, he doesn't keep his hands up. He's not fucking front foot heavy. He's not all this shit. He's just got wild hands, man. It's not the same thing. So, I don't know why people even think that that's a good comparison to make. But, yeah. And he also... They asked him, well, Justin Gaethje, for whatever reason, keeps pointing out fucking character flaws that he thinks his opponents have, and Gaethje said that he's not humble and he's going to serve him humble pie. And, dude, I love when, the ESL guys, like, can come up with witty comebacks like that. Like, it's fucking funny, man. Piotr Jan's got some good trash talking. I just love what he said back to him, though. Like, I love humble pie. If he could do that for me, I'd be very happy. I thought it was funny, good moment, and it just shows that I love the way that he deals with that. He's just like, okay, whatever, I would love that. He's not getting in his feelings or getting upset about it and talking shit back. He's just ready, which is why I don't think he is this cocky, overconfident motherfucker. Like, if he was just if he was what Justin Gaethje was saying he is, he would be talking mad shit back. But he's not. He's chill. He's humble, dude. Come on. And that's what we're at now. Justin Gaethje, dude. For some reason, he keeps pointing out character flaws, as I just said. And I swear to God, man, it could be projection. Because here's the thing. When he called, pardon me, Charles Oliveira a quitter, I was annoyed by that because while he went to sleep against Khabib, he tried to tap quite quickly. Also, Jason Herzog just apparently lost his eyesight for a couple moments. He tapped against Khabib. The only reason he went out is because Herzog allowed him to go out for some fucking reason. He was tapping viciously too, like trying to get out of there. So, but like by his own definition, he's a quitter. But because the ref didn't see it and he got to go unconscious instead of getting separated while he was still awake, apparently that means he's not a quitter. And then he goes out there and quits against the guy he called a quitter, which is just extremely poetic. I gotta be honest, man. I hate that I'm gonna say this because I guarantee a lot of people aren't gonna like this take. I love watching Justin Gaethje fight. I love him as a fighter. I'm glad he is in the UFC. I'm glad we all get to watch him fight. All of his fights are ones that you could watch back 100 times over and not get bored of. That being said, as a person, I don't like him at all, man. I can't stand him. Every time he opens his mouth, I'm like, would you just shut up? Like, he seems really arrogant for some reason. And that's why I think, like, he keeps calling out these fucking character flaws. Like, he says he was overconfident 5 years ago. Dude, 5 years ago, he was saying, like, it's only a matter of time before I get knocked out. I know that I can get knocked out because of the way I fight. It's only a matter of time. Like, he was not overly arrogant. It's the opportunities that the UFC continue to give him over and over and over again, I think have clouded his vision of how good of a fighter he actually is. Because if you're just going off of rankings and you are not basing anything off of excitement value, like fan, like shit, things like that, who's going to bring the most eyeballs and whatever, Justin Gaethje did not deserve 2 title shots, with all due respect. But whatever. I think he's a little arrogant, and he got his nose fixed, but he still sounds kind of like he's having issues with his breathing, I noticed. So I don't know. Hopefully for him that worked, because that's an unfortunate one, and then he'll just have to get it done again. Like imagine FIZIEV goes out there and smashes his nose. That would be shitty. He keeps saying he's going to use his wrestling, and I cannot determine whether or not I should believe him or not. If he was smart, he would use his offensive wrestling. I don't think that we have ever seen him shoot a takedown in his career in the UFC, in his time in the UFC. I don't think he shot a single takedown. He typically uses his wrestling the same way that like Chuck the Iceman Liddell would do, right? He's using it to stay away from the ground so we can remain on our feet and kickbox. So I don't know if I believe him, but when they asked FIZIEV about it, and FIZIEV goes, yeah, he's going to need to. He's going to need to use his wrestling, which I also thought was a good line, because he knows damn well, dude. And I think Justin Gaethje knows as well. I think Justin Gaethje's saying that because he is not confident that he's going to be able to beat him on the feet. He's not a better striker. Rafael FIZIEV, objectively, if you watch him technique for technique, is a better striker. And I think that Gaethje knows that he's better at striking. And I think that Gaethje may be trying to get into his head a little bit here. Maybe make FIZIEV a little bit hesitant because he's thinking about a takedown, but FIZIEV acted like he was totally ready. He's going to have to. So he's ready for that. This is another thing, dude. I noticed this. Whichever media member asked him about it. It wasn't the same one that asked KAMARU the Drickus question. This was a British guy. About John Jones. Okay. And they were talking about how Well, Justin Gaethje said how Jon Jones was fighting in the TRT era. And then the guy asked him, yeah, and a lot of people say that he has gotten asterisks on his record, but do you think because he was fighting guys like that, you know, and during that era when everybody was on something, do you think that, you know, it's not a relevant asterisk or whatever? I can't remember exactly how he worded it, but Justin Gaethje said, yeah, it's not relevant. If he would have popped in like modern times like today, then it would have been different, but back then, no. Okay. Here's the thing though, okay? Stop defending Jon Jones. You guys know nothing of the fucking history of the times that he has popped. Clearly, you're the media. You should fucking know when he tested positive for steroids, because you would then know that, yes, he did fight in the TRT era. Okay, he fought Vitor Belfort in 2012, I believe. UFC 152. Here's the thing, though, dude. TRT was allowed back then, right? It was banned in 2014 because they realized that it was too big of a loophole, okay? Because what it was you were allowed to use TRT as long as it was administered by a doctor. So if a doctor gave you a therapeutic use exemption, said that you needed TRT, they would give you TRT. What guys would do is a cycle of steroids, get off, have their test levels drop because they're getting off all their steroids. They would go to a doctor, get a blood test. Hey, look, my fucking test is low as shit. Oh, you need testosterone. Then they're doing steroids and test. They banned that in 2014. Does anybody know the first time Jon Jones popped? Because I do. Does anybody else know? Does anybody, trivia question, anybody else know the first time Jon Jones popped? 2 years after that, okay, 2016 against Daniel Cormier was the first time Jon Jones popped for fucking steroids. So it was not during the TRT era. And while you may think everybody's on steroids, right, like Nate Diaz, he's the one getting caught. So you think that everybody else is just way smarter and knows how to get away with it, and Jon Jones doesn't, right? Jon Jones has two brothers that played in the NFL, and if I'm not mistaken, at least one of them popped for steroids. He was also, dude, at UFC 200, when him and Daniel Cormier are going back and forth, he bragged about how he had $10 million in the bank. So he's got the money to get the best guys to administer this shit. He's got two professional athlete brothers in the NFL, which is known for their steroid use. There's no way he should be getting caught if that's the case, right? Otherwise, everybody else should be getting caught. He's got all of the tools available to him to not get caught, and he still got caught, which means he's fucking abusing them, most likely, to an extreme degree. The first time he got caught was in 2016, not in the TRT era. TRT era ended in 2014, okay? So, that's fucking stupid. And especially in me, I don't expect Justin Gaethje to know that because he's not all there. A media member should know that, though. You've been reporting on the sport. You should fucking know that, okay? Also, he did pop in modern times. He has an asterisk beside all of the names, at least 3 of them, beg my pardon, leading up to his Cyril Gane fight, right? He tested positive at the second fight for Daniel Cormier. He tested positive against Alexander Gustafsson. He tested positive every day of the week against Anthony Smith. And USADA in the UFC called Anthony Smith every day to let him know that he was continuing to test positive. I doubt that trend just stopped. I just think that Thiago Santos isn't the one to fucking talk about it because he barely even speaks English, and that Dominic Reyes, who knows, maybe they just didn't tell him, or I don't know, but that's all modern era. He tested positive in modern times while USADA was around, while the sport is supposed to be clean. And I understand that you can have, again, like, you can think that everybody's on steroids. The difference is that we know Jon Jones is on steroids, right? We don't know if Daniel Cormier is taking shit. And I mean, just looking at him, you would imagine not. But, and like, you know, people think that KAMARU Usman's on stuff, and I'm kind of one of those people. I think he's on EPO or some shit, or even human growth hormone and things like that. That's why his fucking head is changing, okay? But he has yet to be caught, and I know that USADA is corrupt and they don't catch people, but even with the corruption out of USADA, Jon Jones still gets caught, which means he's either fucking retarded or He does more steroids than anybody, okay? So I don't want to hear about that asterisk not being relevant because he was fighting in the TRT era. He ended the TRT era ended in 2014. Fucking done. You can't talk about it anymore. So enough of that. Okay. Last point. I think Justin Gaethje is going to try and make this decay. Does anybody remember when Volkan Ozdemir was on his way up through the light heavyweight division and ended up fighting Daniel Cormier for the title and got absolutely fucking ragdolled and destroyed? But that's not the point I'm trying to make here. Volkan Ozdemir was like KOing everybody with these weird little shots in the clinch, right? He had ridiculous, that's what his no time, right? He kept KOing dudes right away. They would be clinched up. And he would throw a little hook, short hook right here behind the ear. It was weird, man. Like, people were like, what the fuck does this guy have in his hands? I think that that's what Justin Gaethje's game plan is going to be. He does not want to remain at kicking range. I don't think he's actually going to wrestle. I think he wants FIZIEV to think that he's going to wrestle. But I think he's going to be trying to land short, hard shots in the clinch or on the break. I think that's where Justin Gaethje will have the most success. I don't think FIZIEV's going to let him. Or at least try not to let him, because, dude, Muay Thai fighters have very good experience in the clinch. So, and he's probably going to be aware of this, but I think that that's what Gaethje's going to end up trying to do here. Because he does have, he's got pretty powerful hands. Now, he doesn't have the most powerful hands. You know, like the guys that he really fucking KO'd, if you go back and think at the time, they seemed fantastic. But if you go back and think about it, dude, he KO'd Cowboy, okay? Fair. Cowboy's old, right? And that was the beginning of the end for Cowboy. He KO'd James Vick, who may have the worst chin in all of MMA. You know, everybody KOs James Vick. Dan Hooker flatlined James Vick, okay? Dan Hooker is not known for his power. And then Edson Barboza. The Edson Barboza one that's a very good win. Edson Barboza is a fantastic striker. The only thing is that he got eye poked right before that happened. So that's also a little, that's like kind of like the Stefan Struve one. Somebody pointed out to me in my comment section. I had forgotten about that. That was a long time ago, that fight, right? But they're right. Stipe got eye poked and then he got clipped. And, you know, I'm sure you've heard fighters say it's not, that it doesn't need to be the hardest shot. It's the one you don't see coming. So if you've been eye poked and you're trying to get away because the ref hasn't seen it and helped you out by breaking it up, there's nothing really you can do, and you're not going to see the shot coming, and it's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So those are the three ones where he's actually like fucked dudes up like that. Like Tony Ferguson standing TKO, yeah, he was getting fucked up, but Gaethje also got dropped in that fight, you know what I mean? And then when he fights good competition like Alvarez or Dustin Poirier, they fuck him up. I mean, he damages them as well, but he's not knocking them out. You know what I mean? And we saw Conor fucking run through Alvarez. So I don't think Gaethje's as powerful as we think he is. Like, I'm sure he hits hard. But here's the thing, dude. Like, Charles Oliveira put out Michael Chandler. Justin Gaethje couldn't. And Justin Gaethje hit that motherfucker with a lot of shit. And a lot of dudes have finished Michael Chandler, by the way. Or not a lot, but a few, at least. He's finishable, but Gaethje couldn't get it done. Maybe Michael Iron Chandler, right? That's his nickname, Iron? Yeah, Iron Mike. Maybe he just fucking shoved some iron in his mouth and his mouthpiece, and he couldn't be knocked out that fight, but I don't think so. So yeah, I think he's going to be trying to land short shots behind the ear, in the clinch, on the jaw, you know, shit like that. Because otherwise he's going to have a hard time with FIZIEV. But that's it, dude. That's all I got. I didn't watch Gunnar Nelson or any of those guys. I tried to watch Marvin Vittori's, and I was like, nah, can't do it. He's fucking annoying, dude. And he just, yeah. He's funny, but he's also annoying. It's funny when he's going back and forth with another fighter. I don't want to hear him answering questions from the fucking media because it's boring as shit. I thought these guys were the most relevant. These are the guys that everybody's excited to see fight, obviously. And they gave me the most to work with. So that's the end of this video. I will put timestamps in the description below because this was a longer video. So thank you. Have a good day. Please like and subscribe. I'd greatly appreciate it. And I'll see you at the next video. Bye-bye.